On my sister's wedding day, they truly went all out, but not for me. They seated me at a large round table, all alone, as if to say that a factory worker with a high school diploma didn't belong anywhere else. It was painfully obvious, and I could feel the isolation creeping in as I sat there. Then, a man quietly approached with a plate of food and a drink. "Excuse me, would it be all right if I join you?" he asked. I nodded. "My name is Mary," I said. "I work the night shift at a factory. I'm 21. Working the night shift was common where I worked, but being a high school dropout made me an exception. I wasn't a bad student and didn't dislike studying, but I couldn't attend high school because my parents, especially my mother, refused to let me go. No matter how much I begged or how my teachers tried to persuade her, my strong-willed mother dismissed it, saying it was a waste of money. My older sister, Chelsea, was the pride of the family, smart, successful, and adored by my parents. They showered her with love and financial support while treating me like a servant. I worked to contribute my earnings to the household, yet it was never enough. "Mary, make dinner before your sister gets home. She'll be here early today," my mother would command. Every day, I returned from my night shift around 7 a.m., sometimes even later if I had overtime. Exhausted, I was still expected to cook breakfast and clean before I could sleep. When I finally managed to rest, I'd be woken up by 4 p.m. to prepare dinner. "I just worked all night," I once protested. "Can't I sleep a bit longer?" My mother's response was cutting. "You're just a high school dropout who works in a factory. Your sister has an important job at a prestigious company. Why can't you cook? You're home all day, lounging around." When I dared to argue, she would explode. "I'm your mother, you don't get to talk back to me." Despite being a stay-at-home mom, she left all the housework to me, spending her days enjoying lunch outings and karaoke with friends. My father, although aware of the unfairness, was too passive to intervene. "I tried once, but your mom doesn't listen to anyone. It's best to just give up," he told me. I'll never forget the day I begged my father to let me go to high school. His response crushed me. "Who do you think you are to ask for more? We did our job as parents by making sure you finished compulsory education." This was my life. Every evening, I hurried off to my factory job, trying to avoid crossing paths with Chelsea. If we met, she'd mock me with cutting remarks. "Oh, heading off to your night shift? Must be tough working nights at a factory, but I guess that's what you get for dropping out of high school," she'd say with a smirk. It wasn't just the work or the insults that kept me tethered to that house, it was Susie, my cat. Chelsea had begged for a pet years ago, but when she lost interest, I took on the responsibility of caring for Susie. My mother, of course, stopped caring about her as soon as Chelsea did. Susie became my one source of comfort. Every morning when I returned from work, she greeted me at the door. On days when she didn't, I'd find her curled up in my bed, waiting. During my toughest moments, when I cried over the cruelty of my family, Susie stayed by my side, purring as if to console me. I wanted to leave so many times, but my mother's threats held me back. "You can't live on your own. You're a high school dropout. And by the way, you're not taking Susie with you. If you try, I'll dump her in the mountains." She said it so often that I believed her. I couldn't imagine life without Susie, so I stayed. The only other light in my life was Harry, a co-worker at the factory. He was 23 and kind-hearted, someone who had faced his own hardships but worked hard to turn his life around. Harry always made me feel valued. "Mary, you're hardworking, kind, and thoughtful. Everyone here respects you," he would say, lifting my spirits. Our dates were simple, most often at his apartment with Susie in tow. The three of us would spend hours together, and Harry and Susie got along so well it made me laugh. "Susie, take care of Mary for me, okay?" Harry would say, and Susie would meow as if she understood. But back at home, things remained the same. One day, Chelsea walked in grinning, holding a massive bouquet of roses. "Look at this," she exclaimed. "Isn't it amazing?" It was so large it covered her entire upper body. Despite myself, I asked, "Wow, what's the occasion?" "My boyfriend proposed. We're getting married," she declared, her voice dripping with pride. She went on to gush about her fiancé, a wealthy, handsome coworker. "You wouldn't know what it's like to meet someone like that. Not when you're a high school dropout working night shifts at a factory," she added, smirking. Listening to her boast, I realized how foolish I was to expect anything different. Trying to keep my exhaustion and irritation hidden, I forced a smile. "That's great, congratulations. Sorry, I've got to get going now." Yeah, run along and work hard, okay?" My sister called out mockingly as I headed for the door. "Oh, and just so you know, my fiancé is coming over tomorrow." I rolled my eyes, leaving her gloating behind. The next evening, I deliberately worked late, hoping to avoid meeting her fiancé, but as I stepped through the front door, there they were, Chelsea and a tall, well-dressed man standing in the living room. "Oh, welcome home, high school dropout." My sister greeted me with exaggerated cheerfulness. "Let me introduce you, this is Brian, my fiancé." Forcing politeness, I replied, "Nice to meet you, I'm Mary, Chelsea's sister. Sorry about my appearance, I just got back from work." Brian gave me a once-over, his eyes lingering on my factory uniform. His judgment was palpable. "Oh, I see," he said, his smile cold and condescending. "Chelsea told me you're a high school dropout working in a factory. It definitely suits you." My heart sank. He was just like her, arrogant and dismissive. Chelsea linked her arm through his, grinning like she was showing off. "Sorry about her, she's always like this," she said, waving her hand as if dismissing my entire existence. Brian chuckled. "I'm a forgiving person, but maybe you could at least try to look presentable, Mary." Their smugness was suffocating, but I knew better than to respond. "I'm sorry, I'll try harder next time. Excuse me, I'll go rest now." I turned away, ignoring their mocking smirks, and headed upstairs to find some comfort in Susie, my cat. But when I reached my room, something felt off. Susie wasn't there. "Susie?" I called, searching every corner of the room. There was no response. Panic set in as I rushed back downstairs, only to see my parents arriving home. "Where's Susie?" I asked, my voice trembling. "She's not in my room." "Oh, that," my mother said nonchalantly, brushing off the scratches on her hand. "We took Susie out in her carrier and left her in the mountains." Her words didn't register at first. "What did you just say?" "Brian is allergic to cats," she said matter-of-factly. "We had to get rid of her." My mind went blank. "You abandoned her? In the mountains? How could you?" "Oh, don't be so dramatic," my mother scoffed. "We couldn't let some cat ruin your sister's wedding." All the anger and pain I had bottled up over the years erupted. "Susie was part of this family. You always put Chelsea first. Don't you care about anyone else?" I screamed, tears streaming down my face. For the first time, my mother looked startled. She wasn't used to me standing up to her. "What's going on here?" Chelsea and Brian entered the hallway, clearly amused by my breakdown. "Thanks for getting rid of the cat for me," Chelsea said smugly. "Much appreciated." "How could you let them do this?" I turned to her, furious. "Why didn't you stop them?" "I'm allergic to cats, and I don't even like them," she said with a shrug. My blood boiled. "Susie was more family than any of you will ever be." Chelsea rolled her eyes. "It's just a cat, get over it. You can always get a new one." I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. My mother, clearly annoyed, shoved past me. "Stop crying and making a scene, you're so dramatic." My father, who had been quiet, finally spoke up, his voice filled with regret. "If you go about 20 minutes into the mountains from the entrance, that's where we left her." "What?" I asked, stunned. "I didn't want to do it, but your mother insisted," he said softly. For the first time in my life, I heard him apologize. Despite my exhaustion, I jumped to my feet and bolted out of the house. On the way, I called Harry, my coworker and closest friend. "Mary, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" "Susie," I choked out through sobs. "They abandoned Susie in the mountains." "Are you serious? Where are you?" "I'm coming right now." By the time I reached the edge of the mountain trail, Harry was there, breathless but determined. "Let's find her," he said, handing me a bottle of water. We searched for hours, calling Susie's name into the darkness. The mountain was eerily quiet, and there was no sign of her anywhere. Finally, I collapsed to my knees, tears streaming down my face. "She's gone, Harry, I can't find her." Harry knelt beside me, his voice calm but firm. "It's too dark now, Mary, we'll come back tomorrow." He helped me back to his car, and we drove home in silence. As we pulled up to my house, my family was outside, laughing and chatting with Brian. "Oh, look, the dropout's back," Chelsea sneered. "What happened to your face? You look awful." Their laughter felt like knives. My anger reignited. "How dare you laugh? This is all your fault." "Still going on about that cat?" My mother scoffed. "You're being ridiculous." "She's just a cat," Chelsea added with a smirk. "You're so dramatic." "I'll never forgive you," I spat, my voice trembling with rage. Harry stepped in. "This is unbelievable. Mary, you're not staying here another minute. Pack your things, you're coming with me." Who's this? Brian smirked. Your boyfriend? Didn't know someone like you had one. Harry shot him a cold glare. Actually, I graduated high school, and I'm not here to argue with you. Mary, let's go. I rushed inside and packed the essentials while my family continued to mock me. As I returned to the car, my mother tried one last time. Are you really leaving? Who's going to cook and clean? Harry answered for me. That's for you to figure out. She's done enough. My father spoke up again, his voice subdued. Just let her go. She's been through enough. Without another word, I left. As Harry drove us away, I made a silent vow. I'd never look back, and I'd make a better life for myself. Harry let me stay with him until I found a place of my own. My coworkers rallied around me, offering support, especially our boss, who was an animal lover. With their help, and Harry by my side, I began to rebuild my life. When I told my factory boss about what had happened, he was livid. If your mother comes here again, I'll have her arrested, he growled. With his muscular build and commanding presence, I knew my mother wouldn't dare show up at the factory again after his warning. Meanwhile, Chelsea and my mother kept calling me, demanding that I attend the wedding. I ignored every single message. Eventually, the wedding date was set, and I realized the day I had been waiting for had finally arrived. Harry, I said one evening, my sister's wedding is coming up. Are you going to go? Of course, I wouldn't miss it, he replied, a glint of determination in his eyes. When the wedding day arrived, I was prepared. Brian's family hadn't met me before because I'd skipped the initial introductions. Chelsea had told them I was too embarrassed to attend because I was a high school dropout. She even sent me a message instructing me to stick to that story. During the reception, I made polite conversation with Brian's family, who were kind and understanding. They reassured me that education wasn't everything. Meanwhile, my mother, Chelsea, and Brian were busy playing the roles of the perfect family, putting on their best performances for the guests. When I took my seat for dinner, I saw they had seated me at a large round table all by myself. It was a deliberate move, their way of belittling me yet again. We figured you'd be more comfortable on your own, Chelsea said with a smirk, considering how nervous you'd get around people with real educations. I heard whispers from the nearby tables, but I didn't care. I calmly ate my meal, ignoring the humiliation. Then, a man approached with a plate and a drink. Excuse me, he said, may I join you? I don't mind, I replied. Thank you, my name is Paul. I'm the CEO at Brian and Chelsea's company. Startled, I greeted him politely. Thank you for everything you've done for them. No need for that, he said, smiling. But if I'm not mistaken, do you work at a factory? Caught off guard, I nodded. Yes, I do. Have we met before? Not directly, he said, but I visited your factory and read about your team's work in an industry magazine. Your project about improving pet happiness was very impressive. I felt a swell of pride. Thank you. We've been working hard on that project. It's a passion of mine. Paul's expression softened. Are you a cat person by any chance? I am, I said, smiling. I've always loved cats. My own cat, Susie, means the world to me. He showed me a picture of his cat on his phone. It was the same breed as Susie. Feeling a connection, I decided to tell him the truth. Paul, I began, my sister hasn't been honest with you. Those pictures of Susie that she showed you? They're not hers. She took them from my phone, and because her fiancé is allergic to cats, they abandoned Susie in the mountains. Paul's face darkened. They abandoned a cat? I nodded, my voice trembling. Yes, they put her in a carrier and left her in the woods to die. My parents helped them, and neither Chelsea nor Brian showed any remorse. They even thanked my parents for doing it. Paul's jaw clenched in anger. I gave your sister a chance at her job because I thought she loved animals. This is unacceptable. Just then, Chelsea and Brian walked past our table. Paul, what are you doing here? Chelsea asked nervously. I was just having a very enlightening conversation with your sister, Mary, he said, his tone icy. Oh, well, I hope she wasn't bothering you, Chelsea said with a forced laugh. She's not very sophisticated. Paul frowned. Actually, you're wrong. Mary's work at the factory is impressive, far more so than anything you or Brian have shared with me. Chelsea's face went pale. You must be mistaken, she stammered. Mary's just a high school dropout. Maybe, Paul replied, but she has far more integrity and talent than either of you. And now I know the truth about Susie. Brian stepped in, trying to save face. Look, it's just a cat. Why are we making such a big deal about it? Paul's voice rose, drawing the attention of nearby guests. Just a cat? A living being? You abandoned an animal, and you think it's no big deal? I seized the moment. Actually, I have proof, I said, pulling out my phone. I played the recording I'd made of my family discussing their plan to abandon Susie. The room went silent as the audio played. Paul's face turned red with fury. I can't believe what I'm hearing, he said. Chelsea, Brian, you've both been lying to me. I trusted you, and you betrayed that trust. You don't deserve the positions you hold in my company. Chelsea panicked. Paul, please don't do this. I need this job. You should have thought of that before abandoning a living creature, he snapped. Then he turned to me. Mary, I'd like to discuss your project further. Please contact me after the wedding. With that, Paul walked away, leaving Chelsea and Brian humiliated. Their wedding was in shambles. I stood up, smiled, and said, "Congratulations on the wedding. I hope you two are very happy together." Then I walked out without looking back.